Hey, dummies. So this week, as you can see, so last week there's a lot of noise with the microphone and things. I'm going to try to see if I can correct that and just try to hold it with some slack, and hopefully that keeps it taut and I don't have to fuck it up as much as I do. It's been a good week. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I had a lot of thoughts this week, been doing a lot of thinking, which I do a lot of, honestly, but none of it ever matters, and that's what's important. But one of those thoughts recently was what came first? Because so they've had it before, and I probably talked about this a few times, but they have it where, like, in zoos they'll introduce currency to monkeys. So what they'll do is, like, they'll give them chips and they'll exchange, like, services or some sort of thing that they find valuable for these chips. So in the monkey's mind, it clicks like, oh shit, this has value. And then it starts to carry other things, right? Monkeys have additional fads too. There's ones that they would do where, like, there was a monkey that was at a certain zoo, I can't remember, but he would put grass behind his ears. And he thought it was very fucking cool. And so did the other monkeys, apparently, because they started to do it. When they had taken him out of that pen and put him in another pen, he was so cool that all the other monkeys did it. So, yeah, cool. Also, there are still beta monkeys. Like, when you see the monkey sitting in the corner and you're like, he doesn't fuck, he don't fuck. Okay? What I'm saying is, though, I'm thinking to myself, like, basically, when these monkeys do this, they immediately invent prostitution. They immediately are like, I'm gonna fuck for this. So, like, just immediately, that's always the first thing directly after that. So you start to wonder if that's maybe like a human thing, if that's a natural thing. But then I started thinking too, what if these both rise naturally? Like, what if these both show up? Like, what if, let's say we start from the beginning, and you start from the beginning and you have currency and you have prostitution. And they're just rising up side by side. I imagine prostitution's invented in the bartering. Like, the bartering system, you know? Like one guy's like, hey man, I got like 2 apples. I'm gonna eat one. Do you think we should just eat the other one? I mean, like, do we save it? I mean, like, it's just gonna go bad tomorrow. So I mean, like, I guess eat it, right? You're gonna be hungry tomorrow, but at least you'll be, like, taking it in or whatever. And one guy's like, I heard Ugra said she'd touch your dick for an apple. And he's like, stop, everyone stop eating the fucking apples right now. And he's like smacking apples out of people's hands. He's like, stop, the apples aren't for eating. They're not for eating. Like he's just immediately, he's like, stop, take that out of your mouth. He's just like slapping it. He's like, give me that. Oh god, it's just funny. Just like, because I mean, I guess it's probably got to be prostitution first. You know, as soon as there's some sort of value, people are trying to put their biological needs first, right? Like, I mean, not just sex, but like also hunger, water, things like that. Like, those are always traded first. Prostitution is just a thing that's not conceivable and concrete in front of us. It's the first true service. And maybe that's why the whole service industry feels like you're getting fucked. Maybe that's why. Because it was all just based on the loose transaction of prostitution. It is funny to think of the agreements that have been made hundreds of years before you, things that have been put before you, you know? Like, you don't get to decide. Well, I haven't got to decide. I'll tell you what, if I did, no tipping in America. Tipping's dumb. We're done with that now. You know? Like, things like that. Like, we don't get to decide what the social rules are when you're put in. This blew my mind. I was on a bunch of mushrooms with my buddies one time, bro. People just will erect 4 walls and decide you can't go in that bitch. What the hell? What the fuck? It was just, everyone could just walk up and down that bitch just a minute earlier. You put 4 walls and a door on some shit and it's yours? Okay, I guess. It's just one of those things that, like, we take a lot of liberties as people. Like, just as people, we assume a lot of things. Like, I love that when somebody goes, well, that's mine. You can't take that. Well, there's forces that would stop me from taking it, maybe. I know this is a different thing to say this like without a ski mask on. I get that, but that is what it is. Listen, you don't rob people in this attire. You understand? This is purely aesthetic based. If I rob somebody and the cops got there 5 minutes later, they would literally go, do you know what he looks like? And you go, yeah, that's him 2 miles down the road. No doubt that's him, 100%. Nobody else has that ski mask. And it looks like it's for deer hunting. So but at the same time, it's just funny the social rules we put on to people. Like, you can't come in here, bitch. What the hell? It's always like, not always, but that I think is what happens a lot of times whenever people talk about privilege. It's like the privilege of not having somebody tell you what your rights truly are. You know, in this world, what your rights truly boil down to, which is not much. We've seen even, and once again I'm bringing it up, but we've seen even if you are, like, you can't even claim self-defense when you're dead. That should be the first thing. Somebody who is maybe murdered should probably be allowed. Like, I get it, okay? Also, though, about Kyle Rittenhouse, and this will be the last thing I say. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a politician, I don't give a shit, but the last thing I'll fucking say about Kyle Rittenhouse is, if you think he is cool, you are the biggest loser I have ever met in my life. Imagine a white 17-year-old that open carries a rifle. You want to befriend him? You think I'm not saying he should serve a term for 80 years. I get it. I'm not saying he needs to go. I just don't want him to be by me. Can he get sentenced to 80 years away from me? Not this, like, yeah, put him, if he stays, make him stay on house arrest. I've seen his mother. It seems like a plenty enough punishment to just put him in a room with her until he's like 30. I don't know. He was going to do it anyways, but at least now, like, there's no hope, you know, and that's what we're really taking from him. I think last week I had said I will chain myself to his mother if he's not freed. I might still do that. I'm not. There's a lot of plans you make, and sometimes they fall through. You think, I'm going to ask this guy to go out and get some food, and then by the time it comes around, you're not hungry. It's not your fault, you know? But, yeah, if I see her and I got some chains on me, she better, I'll just spin a bunch until we're just right together, you know? Just like a fucking movie. I've been thinking a lot, too, about things in my past. You know, as you go through therapy and things, you dig up a lot of trauma, and you dig up a lot of things, and the question always persists of, when the fuck did that happen? Okay? It's always some shit like that. Like, for example, I don't like people fucking touching me, but especially my ass, okay? So, like, from afar, if you were diagnosing symptoms, you'd be like, this boy got fucked, okay? You would think so. You truly would. I've had people pinch my ass before, and I like do it. I have a thing I do. I don't even mean to. Like, it's just like a natural. I scoop my butt forward and I smack their shit to the side. Like, hi-ya, hi. One second, watch it. Hi-ya. Okay, you understand? Because I don't want to fucking have anybody touch my ass. Okay, so from afar, it looks worrying. Okay. So you just start to wonder, you're like, when did I, because everyone that's listening to this is like, you were raped, and I get that, but maybe that's also the where and the when, I don't know, but you just start to think, you're like, why don't I like people touching my ass? Do I have a weird uncle? I don't know. There's, you know, maybe I just like forgot, and there's just some guy that like is evil and needs to be put away, and instead I'm just in a ski mask recording a podcast, but that's fine. But thinking about my past, I started to think about the people that wronged me, the ways that I got fucked up, and some things that like started to really shape who I was. For example, I believe I had no friends ever. My mother would be like, that's your friend. I'd be like, thank you, that's fun. I'm glad you feel comfortable enough to give me a friend. I did not call people my friend. I had one friend who lived next door for 12 years. He was a very nice guy, but I learned a very valuable lesson in those 12 years. And that was that when you're 13 and somebody moves away, they don't fucking care. I still see that guy. He's a nice guy. If I died, he'd come to my funeral for sure. But we're not fucking friends anymore. You understand? Like, he and I could hang out and, like, smoke weed even, but, like, I don't know if we'd have anything in common. I still play the same games we would play. He and I would sit down and play The Sims for 12 hours at a time and just, like, smell like shit and just, like, play video games. It was the fucking best. And so we would do that, like, all fucking day. But now we have nothing in common because I still play The Sims and he's a real person. You understand? And so I think about those things, and like it pushed me to realize that people don't care, and also people don't matter, and neither of those are bad. Okay, people get real upset when you say that stuff. They go, no, people care. Who? Okay, so I'm gonna let you know somebody who doesn't care. Anyone with a political opinion wants the opposite of their political opinion to drown in front of them. Okay? That's what they want. Those people are already out. They don't want better for you. Okay? You see what I'm saying? Where people think there's so much evil and good in this world, and I know what's right and I know what's wrong, that no one wants to be your fucking friend. Because they know what's right. There's no chance that you're correct. Okay? Now, that's a hard lesson to learn at 13, but I would even say that I had ventured to go into learning that lesson a little earlier, you understand? And one of those ways that I had was, I was 5, and I remember getting sent to the principal's office on the 3rd day of school. They have that system, red, green, blue. No, green, yellow, red, like a stoplight. What is wrong with me? And so basically, what would happen is if you were bad enough and did some bullshit, they'd put you onto yellow. If you are bad enough, they'd put you onto red. Because yellow just means they're going to tell your parents and that you're going to get in trouble that day. Red means that you're going to the principal's office and you're going to get in trouble from the principal. So I got sent to the principal's office on the 3rd day of kindergarten, and for talking excessively. Imagine that. Imagine, right? So I got sent to the principal's office for talking excessively on the 3rd day as a 5-year-old. And I remember they asked who I was talking to, and I really was not sure. Because it wasn't about who. It wasn't about who. It was about me. And I wanted to talk a little bit. I had something to say. You know? And things like that. It's funny too, because you go home and mom goes, oh, he's so popular, he's got a lot of friends. And I never hung out with anyone but the one neighbor who lived next to me for 7 years. I had birthdays kids didn't come to. We covered that extensively. This is a fun podcast. This is fun. Laugh. And but that school was also very weird though. Like, that teacher was very mean. I had her sister as a teacher, 9 years later, and her sister was also incredibly mean to me. But that was until I gave her son a wooden gun and, like, whatever. It was a weird story itself. But so basically, at this school, we had so you'd walk in, there's stairs right side, stairs left side, and symmetrical. So there's the gymnasium / cafeteria ahead of you. You can see into it. You walk to the right, there's classes. Walk to the left, there's classes. Go up the stairs, and then both ways there's also classes, and it wraps around. Very nice school, very nicely laid out. It looked good. It looked aesthetically pleasing. Now that said, it was made of brick. It looked kind of Fallout sheltery, which I imagine it probably kind of was. But they even had a basement that was dark and scary. They used it a lot of times for storage, but it looked like an old, like, I almost wonder, there's probably a lot more down there that I never got to go into. But it looked like old locker rooms where people would, like, change before they'd go do, like, gymnasium things back when kids were, like, more responsible and, like, would have their clothes changed and shit, you know. And so basically what had happened is I live in the Midwest, and there's a lot of tornado sirens, never a lot of tornadoes. That said, when you're young, you don't really know. You don't remember much. You're forming your first memories. So as we're going on in class, I think we're probably 1st, 2nd grade at most, and basically some sirens start going off. You hear like it's not sound like that at all. I'm retarded. But it's like a really loud, high pitch, like, ring, and it continues on and on and on. And it's terrifying. Whenever you're a child and you hear it, you're like, okay, that means we're dying, right? And like, yes, you're dying. Fantastic. And so we go down to this basement, and it's pitch black. I may also be confusing times because I believe there were two of these, but I believe at this point we had gone down to the basement when I was young. There was two of these. There was one when I was in 5th or 6th grade. There was one when we were young. But basically, I went down to the basement, and I, like, remember it was, like, completely black, and it was terrible. And one girl kept crying and moaning about her grandmother dying, okay? She's like, my grandmother's dead, all the crazy shit. Just going off, okay? I'm about 6. I don't talk to my family. My kids are just starting to get, like, phones in school. I was not. My mother thought it was evil. She was correct, but that's beside the point. So I was there just kind of alone. Like, no adults were really around. Like, I remember people kind of saying stuff, but nobody really saying much. And nobody really kept us entertained. And for those moments, I was truly in fear. I remember actually having anxiety and panic attacks and sitting there thinking that my parents, you don't think, but I sat there and thought about my grandparents dying. And like their house was getting ripped apart by a tornado and our school getting destroyed and us dying here. Probably one of my first bouts with anxiety and things. And it's also very funny that like nobody helped us, you know, but it's actually not. It's truly not. Most adults will look at a child who is going to grow up and maybe become some sort of school shooter or Hitler, and they'll go, he's not going to remember it anyways. Hey, she's not going to remember it anyways. What? She's going to be a whore by the time she's 13? No. They're not going to remember it anyways. So a lot of times you get kind of passed up on or whatever. But there's also things, too, where most teachers don't fucking care. They don't like most of their students. There's a few teachers, especially in high school. I had 2 or 3 teachers in that place that truly love people. Truly love and want to see kids again. 90% of those people do not. Do not. They want to see your obituary so that at the most they can go, I knew it. I knew it. They do. I mean that. All of these are jokes, but I mean that, okay? And here's why. I had graduated. I was about 19. My sister is about 4 years younger than me. If you do the math, she's about a sophomore. She ended up in gym class, and there was one lady that was, you look at her, and you know she's some dumb blonde bitch. And you know she always has been, but she still thinks she's not, or she's still coming to terms with it. You're not really sure, because she even had a daughter that was young and blonde and like very beautiful, attractive, youthful, you know. And then you see this troll of a woman, and you just think to you're like, Jesus, like Uguay or whatever your name is. It's like, what are you doing, honey? You know. So this woman, she walks around, she acts better than everyone else. She'll usually go to the length of bullying other students, especially females that are pretty, which doesn't reek of insecurity. It really shows how strong of an ogre she is. And she basically, Code Red lockdown happens. So there's a lot of like violence in the city surrounding the school is what they say, but it's a lot of times far away from the high school. It's never by the high school. This time, however, somebody happened to have a gun by the high school. So what happens is they go into lockdown. So my sister being in gym class with her gym teacher, the one lady who has an attractive daughter and is an ogre and a troll, and they are going to walk out. They lock the students in the bottom place, in the bottom like doors, so that nobody can get through. I mean, you could shoot a bullet through it and then get through and then murder all of those children, but it's whatever. So one of the teachers, who's kind of a bitch, she's threatened to write me up a few times. This is another teacher. It's not the one with the attractive daughter that's a troll. This lady actually kind of looks more like an avatar more than anything. She's very tall. She's got braids. She's got, milkers, okay? But basically, she wasn't a very attractive teacher, and sometimes people made fun of her for it. But she was a nice lady, and I didn't like her that much when I was there, but you knew she cared, and that was like whatever, all right? Like there's some people that are like not the greatest teacher, but it's because they're trying their best and they don't think the world is that great. And then there's other people that are doing their best, but they're good at doing their best, you know? And so this lady locks herself in there with the students. They start looking around for people, and they realize, Miss Troll Ogre isn't here. Miss Troll Ogre, where are you? This selfish, ignorant, college-educated woman who decided she was going to do this with her life had decided this wasn't what she signed up for. And as she was walking away from the crowd of students walking towards the basement, she said, I'm not gonna die for this shit. And then proceeded to lock herself in the office and sit in the bottom of a closet. And those are your educators, babies. Whenever you fucking think, you see some bullshit out of school and you think, oh, how did that kid get suspended? It's because if they had to choose, they would put him down. Suspension is the only thing they could do. Because they pulled out a 45 and they go, can we end it? Can we get rid of this kid? Yeah? How late term is the late term abortion? You know? I think South Park made the joke. Can I have an 83 term abortion? Is that too late to be in my 83rd trimester? But it's one of those things that's just like, nobody fucking cares that much. Nobody really cares that much about kids. They really don't. They see a lot of the bad things in kids because that's where people usually get their worst life. There's almost two types of people. The people that have their life the worst when they're young, which is me. Pray to God. But that, like, it starts off as bleak, and you're like, all right, I'll kill myself in 5 years, and then it slowly starts to like plateau, and then build up, plateau, things like that. But imagine how much worse it is. Imagine how much worse it is to be the Disney kid. And there's been other podcasts and things that talk about these things, but imagine how much worse it is to be the Disney kid, the unprepared. You just keep watching Disney movies that come out with a new one every year. Mufasa, yeah, I like, you know, and you do all that shit. And then the housing bubble. and now we're here where our president has dementia. You know? Like, I feel worse for those people who lived a life where they would go get McDonald's and they'd have a Happy Meal toy and they were so truly happy, and like I'd get a Happy Meal toy and I'd play with it for 5 minutes, put it down, and feel bad, you know? I hated that school. The art teacher one time, I was in 3rd grade and this bitch she took my fucking drawing. I had drawn in circles. My hand was getting really, really tired. My wrists hurt a lot whenever I like write and draw and stuff. And so I had started switching to circles because it was easier to like keep my hand steady while moving that way. And so I had turned in a gingerbread man that we had been drawing for Christmas. And I remember she held it up to the class and she goes, "Do you guys know why this is wrong?" And I'll tell you what, if you've ever had that happen, okay, you know how it feels, okay? But you know when it's math or English, you can be like, just a dumbass, gay-ass comma, you know? You can be like, oh, yeah, I just fucked up some math. When somebody takes something that you made and they go, why does this suck? To the only 23 other peers that you have? I will never forget that, Miss McNamee, you bitch, okay? And I will never forget that. She wasn't that bad of a person, actually. My mother really liked her, but I think it was just because she was my only black teacher. My mother was like just trying to make sure she liked her. And like, there's a few things that people who worry about being racist need to check off to make sure they're good, you know? And that was one of them. So this teacher got to abuse me. Another fun thing about the school, we had giant fucking swings. So you could go up and down on these swings, and people would jump off so fucking high, you could fly. You could fling yourself like a goddamn slingshot on these swings. They were amazing. People would climb all the way up top and fucking like break their legs falling off it. It was the fucking shit, okay? And every day on the playground, people would be doing different things. You could be playing football out there in the back. Kids would be running around in sweatshirts with footballs and stuff, playing like touch football. Not like, you know what I mean. But so then they'd have like they had like the dome, the spider dome that people would climb on. People fucking love that shit. And a basketball court if you could play basketball. I had never been friends with people, so it was hard for me to like. People would be like, "You want to play basketball?" And it's like I can't establish a group dynamic. There's too many things going on. It starts to make me anxious and hurt, so I just don't fucking do it. I can't fucking play sports. I don't like that shit. They're also gay. I don't know if you know that, but sports are gay. That's a fact. I'll keep repeating it until everyone knows. But sports are gay. So I didn't want to do sports also because why the fuck would I want to just be fucking doing sports? You know, like eventually I did. Now, I say sports are gay, but I also was a wrestler for 4 to 5 years, which if there is a gay sport, like literally wrestling ends whenever you just like put your cock in the other guy's ass. Like that's just literally, it's the most gay thing I've ever seen. It was invented in Greece, so I bet that was almost the original rules, was that whoever pinned the other guy and got to fuck him won. But sorry, I was talking about a thing. So on the playground there was people would ask you about different stuff. There was one I remember hearing about was there was these sisters. One was older, one was younger. And I remember there was one girl, and they were Mexican, and they had like Mexican accents. And there was one lady there was one chick that was like, and I remember being sad about this up until literally I just thought about it. It's always been sad, but now it's kind of hilarious. So bear with me. I don't know if it's a ski mask or what, but wouldn't that be funny if this is my mask? I don't get to like have a green face that's sexy and smoke cigarettes and fuck bitches. I just wear a bright yellow fucking ski mask. But so, damn it, I lost it. Oh yeah, so there's these systems, the pop, the lock, and the drop it. You understand? Pop it, lock it, drop it. You know. And so that was a thing that had been going on when we were young, along with Soulja Boy and all these things that were kind of picking up steam. Dances were getting to be big, so like you know, all that gay shit. But also apparently like shaking your ass in like some sort of twerk. And so I remember this girl's sister had been out there, like, and the guy's like, bro, we saw this chick. I don't want to say her name. We saw this chick pop lock and drop it behind the school, bro. She was like showing us. I was like, that's cool, but I don't understand the dynamics. Like I said, I don't understand group settings. So I'm like, are we all fucking? Like, I don't understand what that means exactly. And then I remember I was sitting next to her sister, and for unprompted almost, for like no real reason, her sister was like, and we were in like 5th grade, she was like, yeah, man, all these grown men be trying to have sex with me and talking about they dick and my pussy and shit, and I'm just not trying to fuck. And she looks at me like I'm supposed to say, and now I get it. I always used to wear a cross necklace, polo shirts and jeans, so like I looked like the guy you could be like, I'm trying to keep my virginity. Like you could talk, like I looked like that guy that would be like, hell yeah, brother, you want to come to youth group once a week? So like I get it, but it's the most weird thing to have like a fucking somebody under 10 be like, these grown men keep trying to put it in my pussy, and it's like I want to be like, call the police. I would now, but whenever you're 10, I'm like, damn, I wish bitches were trying to fuck me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm 10, I'm like, well, when I was young though, I kind of knew those guys were a little weird. Like I don't know if I think my mother kind of hounded that into my head a little bit, but my mother would always just tell me like grown men were fucking creepy, and they would always just hit on like younger chicks. But that was everywhere I was at. Like there would always be one guy that was older with that because he was this fucking bum or a scumbag with some like younger chick. It was that's so weird, dude. But it is what it is. There's also other legends though too on the playground, not just of the pop it, lock it, drop it, not just of the man who dates younger women, but also of Michael Jackson. It's interesting because I truly don't even know when the trial was. I don't know anything about it, anything about Michael Jackson himself. But I remember like we'd be on the playground and some kids come up to you and they'd be like, "Hey man, you know who Michael Jackson is?" I'd be like, kinda, like, beat it, you know, like whatever. And like they'd be like, "Yeah, bro," but like actually no. So I did know Michael Jackson. I forgot about this. So I knew Michael Jackson because my mother had Michael Jackson earrings. Earrings so big, in fact, that Michael Jackson was laying sideways, like with his hand, like, hee. Like, because I imagine he made that noise whenever he'd like let out air. You know, that's how he breathed. And so breathed. Anyways, so kids would come to you and they'd be like, "Hey man, you heard of Michael Jackson? He tries to fuck boys. If you ain't good, he's gonna come take you from your bedroom on Christmas because you was bad." And I'm like, "Oh my God, Santa is stepping up his game." But they'd say crazy shit. It'd be like, "If you go in the bathroom and say Michael Jackson 3 times, he's behind you squeezing your little boy ass." Like, no, he can't be. It is funny that he was just a whole generation's boogeyman. That like, it's like, well, if you don't put your tooth underneath your pillow, you know Michael Jackson comes and fucks you. Like, it's just so fucking funny that it's like, maybe that's why I don't like people touching my ass, because my only boogeyman, like, at least the boogeyman killed you or haunted your dreams or some shit. They're like, "Oh, you better be good or Michael Jackson will come fuck your ass." Yeah, I'm literally like, okay. Like, I'm literally 5 years old. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? What the fuck am I supposed to do with the information of Michael Jackson might rape me if I'm bad? I don't even know how to be bad yet, you know? I can't legally break a law, but Michael Jackson will fuck me as punishment? God damn it, you know? Whatever. But as you grow up, there's a lot of fun things. And also there's growing pains, you know? Nobody understands sex. So no one's like, so they're like, yeah, Michael Jackson will rape you, but no one thinks he's going to like fuck my butt, you know? Well, and because you probably fuck Michael Jackson if you're the kid. I don't know. That's not what it's about. But what it is about is that it's one of those things that, like, you don't think that deep enough into it. And that's a lot of things when you're young. For example, I think it was 8th grade, I'd got into a tiff. I had people that I was really trying to be friends with, but I was just such a fucking loser. I would constantly tell my mother every issue that I had. I would tell her every problem. I needed somebody to help me sort it out. I needed a therapist, but I didn't have an adult that was smart enough or trustworthy enough to, like, help me find that or get there, you know? So instead I would tell my mother every issue that I had. To the point that at one point she told me to stop fucking telling her. My mother, like, only has ever wanted control, was like, "Please do not tell me anymore." And so you have these things go on that you can't really explain, and they're just these small things that you're like, does this happen elsewhere? Like, it's just small themes of children being weird, insane, and somewhat retarded. But I wonder if I might have told this before, but like, I had been bullied because kids had called me a Jew before. And now, I know what you think. You think to yourself, like, "Oh, that is kind of funny," and it is. But it's also weird that adults heard it, and no one was like, "Hey, you're not Jewish, right?" Like, no one was like, "Hey, are those Nazis or tweens?" You know what I'm saying? Like just to be yelling at a kid and be like, "Look at the fucking Jew boy." It's like, okay. Check their arms for red bands. Okay, what is this? Okay, and so you don't think that deep. You don't think, you're like, "Oh, they bullied the Jew kid. That's funny." I'm not a Jew either. Okay, that is what is funny about it. That is the funny part. And so at one point, like, these kids had like just been making fun of me, calling me a Jew, and across the room, I have a large nose. They're not wrong. Okay? And that's the real hard part. I had to accept for a long time that they weren't wrong. Well, not a long time. It took very short after, and I'll explain. But basically what ended up happening is I had to go to another table because I was going to get very, very angry. And I have a problem where, and I tell people this, there's people that can't pull the trigger in life. I am not one of those. And I don't mean death with a gun. What I mean is the people who can't, let's say a dog fucking bites you. Okay? I'm gonna pull the dog the fuck off me, no matter what that takes. Some people will get paralyzed with fear. I will just now be beating a dog over. Once again, I've thought about this, okay? But if a dog bit me, I'm not letting him bite me. You understand? There's some people who can and can't pull the trigger. Who in the moment that they are physically needing to change something so that they can have it better, they can't. There's people like that. And so I had walked away because I was afraid that I was gonna start acting how I felt, you know? And so I go sit at another table and I face the opposite way because they're yelling things at me, making fun of me. And so on the 4th or 5th time somebody says my name, like, Dummy. They're probably also calling me that. Dummy. And then I turn around, and there's 4 or 5 people all at the table, and they all are doing this with their face to the side, like signifying that I have a large nose. And I didn't know what to do. So I stood up, I went over there, and I just immediately put both hands around a man's neck. Well, he was probably 14, but he was a heavyweight. And I just started choking him. Like Homer Simpson in a rage. Just started choking him. Not 100% sure for what. And it was one of those things that, like, I'm not sure why I did that ever, and, like, I imagine it probably wasn't even that bad. Like, he probably wasn't even, like, gasping for air or anything. But it is funny that no one ever called anyone out as being anti-Semitic. But it ended up being, all right. Just, dummy, go to the office, okay? All right, fine. So I go to the office, and there's a lady sitting there, and she's very nice, and she hears my story. She hears me out for the first time. No one has really heard me out. And I think that's why I got put in that survival class that I was talking about last week. But no one's really truly heard me out. Okay? So my mother has, but does your mother care? You know, does your mother truly care? No. Okay? And so what ends up happening is, that's a little dark, wasn't it? Huh. I didn't know I felt that. But so there Mom, if you're watching this, don't. It doesn't mean I don't love you. I love you enough to tell you not to watch this shit. Please don't. And so I go there, and I remember sitting there, and you're thinking in this moment, because you have people picking on you that you think are your friends, who now obviously are not, and they're picking on you about a thing that you think, is it true? Am I that bad? Am I ugly? Am I different than other people should be? Should other people be? Are other people better than me for a reason? And you start to sit there and you think, is my nose huge? Am I ugly? Am I a fucking Jew? Should I go to a synagogue? Is that what this will take? I get the frisbee on my head, and I'm just, hello, shalom, calm. You know, like, is that what I should do? Is that what I do? I say prayers to whichever way. That's another one, but whatever. You know what I'm saying. So I'm sitting here, and I'm about to accept Yahweh into my heart or whatever gay shit. And then the lady looks at me, and she goes, dummy, I'm sorry. Did you break your nose when you were younger, or? The world didn't give me a minute. You see what I'm saying here? Is that even in those moments where I think to myself, where do I belong? Do I have to step over to the other side of the world to belong? Somebody goes, so, says here you got too big a snaz? Yep, that's a big one. Yeah, that's disgusting. Like, it's just like, it was immediately, she's like, so did you break your nose when you were younger? I'm like, no, it just looks like this. And she's like, well, I think it fits your face. And that was when I realized I was ugly. You understand? That was when I started to think people probably don't want to look at me. And that started to truly be the moment. Was because when your old friends are making fun of you, you think, they hate me. They hate me, so they're going to say whatever they can to get under my skin. But when the old lady you just poured your heart out to goes, okay, I'm sorry they made fun of your nose, but it was involved in an accident, correct? Your nose was front seat in a passenger side in a collision, correct? You can't win, and that's because you are ugly and the world sucks. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what I am doing. Somebody's going to find this, and I'm ending up in a room. Guaranteed, okay? Like, I just don't even know what this is. My buddy stopped by yesterday. He's funny. His father is an outlaw. His whole family's an outlaw. I know these people, and this is a Midwestern thing, but there's people that don't have licenses that drive Among Us every day. There's very few people stop from not having a license. There's a dude on TikTok and all this shit. He's like, oh, so they finna just take my license? Like, I ain't gonna just sit in my car, start this bitch up, and just leave. You know? And he's right. In fact, I was talking to a buddy, bro. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, your uncle got a new truck or whatever. I was like, I didn't think your I didn't think your uncle could drive. He's like, no, he can't. Huh. So how do you get the truck? And he was like, oh, I bought it. Like, this man, like, it is just so beautiful that this man, like, sure, maybe he shouldn't be, and, like, maybe things will happen one day that I'll feel bad and terrible about this or whatever, but what a fucking outlaw, dude. And, I mean, Jesse James killed people, probably raped for no reason, you know what I'm saying? And people fucking love him. Why can't I fucking like this guy? Huh? Why can't this be my Jesse James? Sure, he's Jesse James with DWIs, but Jesse James would have got him too if horses were cars or whatever, okay? So, yeah, he's an outlaw. It was hilarious that these people exist. There's nothing you can do. You understand? There's nothing you can do to change those things. There's just, it's nothing. There's not more cops when it changed that. There's no licensing thing that would change that. It's just not. Just America, baby. No one fucking, no shame. No shame. No shame. I had another thing I thought. I don't. It's just no shame. That's it. I had a buddy one time, and this isn't super related. It's no real segue to it, but I had a buddy, and he was telling me he'd gotten back, so they would go to this. I think I've talked about this before, but they would go to summer camp and do all kinds of shit. And, like, dude. So this guy, they're about to pack up. You go there for 3 days. You get high as fuck on acid, ketamine, cocaine, anything that just ends in some sort of chemical suffix. You just take it into your body and you see what God has to say, you know? And so it's a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, you usually have a little bit of drugs left over in a long drive out of state. You don't want to be taking drugs out of state. You don't want to be crossing state lines with drugs. Just excess danger. You know what I'm saying? It's like excess warning or excess danger for no reason. You're not making any money off it. Like, and that's the point. Like, so whenever you deal drugs, transport drugs, what you are doing is making money off of the amount of danger you are putting yourself in, whether it be getting caught, whether it be putting yourself in a different block, whatever. Whenever you start dealing drugs, you are making money for the danger you are putting yourself in. So whenever you start giving people out free shit, you're just putting yourself in danger for no fucking reason. Even if you get $5, your danger was worth $5. And if that makes you feel shitty, charge them $10 next time, okay? And so basically, whenever you're there, you're like, I don't want to fucking have that danger on my ass. I don't want to be worried about getting pulled over and found with a drug that's going to put me in jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, weed, whatever, you go to jail, it sucks, but not jail. Where they're like, yeah, we're going to transport you to a prison now with other cokeheads. And so my buddy's like, hey, man, we're getting the campsite ready. They're breaking down the tents. They're getting the chairs together. And one buddy goes, oh, yeah. All right, give me 1 second, brother. I'll be right with you. He pulls up a chair. He's in the middle of the campsite. He gets out a plate. And he was breaking up some stuff. And they're like, come on, dude. Come on. He's like, it's just a little bit. I'll pick up right afterwards. I promise. Like, okay, just don't get too fucking lit and not be able to, you know. He's like, I won't, fuck. So he sits there, and he snorts a line of ketamine that's long as a gardener snake, and does where he's having a hard time, moving his neck muscles. He sat there for 3 hours while everyone else cleaned up, just like, and they're like, hey, dummy, can you fucking help us clean up? And he's like, making binaural tones with his fucking voice. Those are good people, man. They're fun friends. I might talk about them some more in the place I used to hang out with. I used to have a place to hang out with. That was the place I went for those 6 months I didn't talk to my mom and stuff. We're starting to get an established lore here, dummies. You guys are starting to learn about my life and things. Maybe I'll take off the mask soon. Maybe not. I think it's more fun to wear the mask than anything. I actually enjoy it. I feel a little more. Feels a little more fun. But I think we're going to end it there today, dummies. If there's a little more content I need, I'll probably try to put together. But I think this is good. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it, dummies. I hope that I keep improving, and I hope that you guys do enjoy these. Thanks, hon.